Get ready for fun. Get ready for laughs. Get ready to have a great day. Live from the KHOU 11 studios, it's Great Day Houston. And now here's your host, Deborah Duncan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. Thank you very, very much. Okay, with the largest medical center in the world, just about any health issue can be addressed here. But before you even end up needing critical care, the best thing we can do as individuals is try and stay well. Even seemingly little things can negatively impact our health. For example, how many of you are on at least one social media platform? How many of you have, okay, yeah, all right. Facebook and, Instagram, all that stuff. Okay. When you post or share something like a photo, video, or maybe just something about your day, do you feel valued when someone says, I like it? Yeah, it makes you feel good, doesn't it? Okay, don't lie. How many of you it makes you feel good? Yeah, okay. Even though that someone else doesn't even know who you are. Adults might know how to handle it, but kids could see it differently. A new study says that likes on social media sites can create low self-esteem. Let's talk about that in this Health Hot Topic on this Wellness Wednesday. This morning, please welcome chiropractors Dr. Tony DeRamus and Dr. Brian Anderson, Dr. Mick Mahan as well, and neurologist Dr. Kimberly Monday. Good morning and welcome to Great Day. All right, we're kind of talking about psychology in this sense, but how many times when you see something and people say they like it, that word like is very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The like thing, when I read this article, I wrote a book on marijuana addiction in 2011, and in studying addictions, you begin to realize that, and I'll use the word addiction loosely, you begin to realize that we're just looking for a way to escape and cope with life. Yeah. So, we're the like issue that we're dealing with here is stimulating part of the brain that is a reward center, but I'm not sure that's necessarily a bad thing. Okay. For us at this point. Yeah.
Okay, you can get some kind of positive reinforcement from somewhere that's kind of very nice and innocent.
Yeah, and it was a fascinating study because they put kiddos in an MRI machine, and it didn't matter what image it was, if it was coffee or something good or something bad. The more likes, the more they liked it. So it just also reinforces for those who have tweens or adolescents how much they need to be liked and how that pleasure center in the teenage years really has to be hit.
Yeah, but it goes the opposite way. Absolutely. When you okay, you got 1.5 likes, or worse than that, the people go, didn't like it, and you have that little thumbs down type of thing. But it's interesting how those outside factors can really impact a child's mind, even more so than their parents, because their parents can look at you and say, we love you no matter what. You're like, yeah, but I got a bunch of likes, a bunch of unlikes, and and defriending people. That whole thing when you go, I'm going to defriend you, or unfriend you. All right, let's move on to a woman had an infection resistant to antibiotics. This has been a big concern because of how much antibiotics we actually prescribe, to the point where people misuse them. And of course, bacteria says, well, we're not going to play anymore. We're stronger now. But in this case, it was a woman who had an E. coli infection, and as a last resort, they came to one antibiotic that finally did work on her. But this is kind of a problem around the world, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we've been speaking about this for decades. Now we have evidence that it's becoming true. That when you deal with bacteria and viruses, they're looking for one thing. They want a really good host. They want a really good environment where they can not only survive, but they can actually thrive. Mm-hmm. And what that means is they're looking for something that has a weakened immune system. If we ever have a wake-up call as to we need to start taking care of our bodies, this is going to be it, because we're running out of the drugs that are solving these problems for us. We can't just go to a pill now and say, make me healthy. Right. It's really your responsibility.
Part of the problem is, because I can tell you, I have friends who immediately say, oh, I have a cold, I'm going to take the rest of my son's antibiotics that he didn't finish the last time. So a couple of things that happen here. One is taking antibiotics when you shouldn't be taking them. They're not effective. The other is not giving the full course of antibiotics in the case of someone who has an infection, because some cases you can just make the bacteria or the virus stronger, right?
Yeah. And that study pointed out, too, that up to 1/3 of antibiotic prescriptions are unnecessary. Yeah. And then even in the same article, they said it happens less here because we're more prudent about our antibiotic prescribing. Well, 1/3 is not off. It doesn't seem that prudent to me, so we have to be careful. And I understand what people want. They want a quick fix. Yeah. But it's really about building that strong host that can resist anything.
And if you have a cold, the antibiotics is not going to solve that problem unless you have an infection, right?
A bacterial infection.
Yeah, bacterial infection. Yeah, let me put it that way. It's interesting because we live a longer life today than ever before, thanks in part to antibiotics. But now it seems to, like, the pendulum is swinging the opposite way. Again, that you go in and try to respond to an infection, and then they go, nothing's working.
Sorry, I have nothing for you.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Sea lice found in some Gulf waters. Have you heard about that? Okay. Let me just point out right now that the sea lice has not been found in the Gulf waters here around Galveston, so that's why you should stay home and go to the beach. Okay. It was found along the Gulf Coast in Florida, and it's a microscopic larvae of jellyfish, and it can cause rash, fever, chills, headaches within 24 hours. Yeah, and look, ooh, gee. Yeah, that doesn't look good right there. And so that can be a problem. Other things that we've heard about before is when people might go swimming in lakes and stuff, and there was that brain-eating amoeba that killed a child not long ago. And so these are things that we're just not expecting.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, it's the key thing about this is these are larvae of the jellyfish, and they don't eat your brain, and they're they're not going to, but just going to be very uncomfortable.
Right.
And your clothes essentially are like a net, and so the more clothes you have them on, the more you can accumulate.
Kind of,
so the natural thing or conclusion would be just wear less clothes.
Well, the unfortunate thing is they don't
wear less clothes.
But they don't produce a sting or a bite. You're not even aware that it's happening until the rash breaks out. So it's unlike the real jellyfish that you can escape when you see them in the water. This is a little bit different than that.
Right.
Size of a pepper.
So, okay, so that's one thing we can deal with, but it's those kind of amoeba things that we hear about lurking in the water that's kind of crazy. Okay, genetics can play a role in our sleep habits?
Yes.
In what way? I want to know, because my mom can sleep all day, and I wake up after 4 hours. I'm like 4 hours, and I'm like, bing, and I'm up. But it's kind of interesting, because my son kind of sleeps like I do. It's like just a few hours, and it's like, okay, let's get up, let's get ready to go. But they're saying everyone has their own chronotype, the propensity for a person to sleep at a certain time of day.
And you identify it, because many times in families, there'll be a family of night owls or morning larks, and everybody sort of has the same sleep pattern. And the average person starts essentially kind of winding down about 10 o'clock, gets up at 6, 7 o'clock. But those that are on the outliers need to go to bed very early or very late, that are programmed that way. It's really difficult for them to
So is it a genetic thing or more of a kind of family habits type thing?
No, it's both. But you have a genetic clock that turns on and turns off, which is what this article was about. But there are things you can do to reset your clock, other than we've talked about staying healthy, but light exposure. It's so important at night when you're winding down that those electronics go off. The only way your brain knows that you're awake is because light's coming in. So if you're in front with your tablet and it's light, it thinks it's 8 in the morning.
All right. How many of you will buy something because a celebrity said it was awesome? Oh, look at you. Okay, thank you for admitting. The rest of you are like, oh, no, I would not do that. I would not. Yeah. Look, if George Clooney told me to drink gasoline, I'd be like, really? Okay. Right. But anyway, okay. But it's funny because a lot of times we'll do it just because that famous person said so, but it doesn't always mean that it's good for you. And there was a study that went, NYU study that shows almost every product that the celebrities were suggesting were bad for you. Full-calorie sodas. Nicki Minaj, is that how she gets all that stuff back there? One Direction, Blake Shelton, Beyonce, Wiz Khalifa, all were saying, yes, down this soda when you're thirsty, or down this soda when you're like trying to take off the edge of being hungry, and the whole bit. There was one healthy endorsement, though. Remember Psy? Whoop 'em Gangnam Style. He said you should eat pistachios. Thank you, Psy. Okay? Yeah. So just because someone says it doesn't mean that you should do it. We should do our own research. Oh, yeah, there you go. Whoop 'em Gangnam Style, pistachio style. Right there. All right. Thank you all very much.